What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding, and today will be nothing but a classic deltoid and tricep workout using only old school, basic and proven exercises. I rarely train shoulders on their own, but when I do train them, I make sure to include only exercises that I know that work and build up my shoulders to become bolder shoulders. So first of all, I like to start with the side delts, because that is, for most people, along with the rear delts, the weakest part of the shoulders. Never start with the front delts if you train chest separately and shoulder separately, because if you do start with the front delts, they will be overdeveloped, and when you have overdeveloped front delts, they will pull harder on the shoulder joint and will cause injuries down the line. I've had that happen before, and I haven't had any kind of impingement, pain or injury in my shoulder since 3 to 4 years, because I have not been training my shoulders separately. I've been doing it in a smart way. So first we start up with the side delts, right? The side delts, doing a lot of volume with the side dumbbell lateral raise. 25 reps, 20 reps, 15 reps, getting the blood into that small muscle group on the side of your delts. When they are properly warmed up, you start doing a compound exercise for the side delts. One of my favorites as well, the wide grip upright row. Normally the upright row is very good for the front delts and the traps, but if you grip it wide, it kind of starts to look like a side lateral raise. Just look at my arms right there. The movement of my arm, both of them, is quite similar to the side dumbbell raise, right? So since they are comparable, when you do a wide grip, you will target the side delts, but you can do a little heavier weight. But I also like to do quite a lot of volume even on this exercise, because I like to do at least 15 reps during this movement. Again, this is to fill up a smaller muscle group. If you go way too heavy with this, even with a wide grip, you will target the traps too much. And we don't want to target the traps during this workout. We want to target those shoulders right there.
The side delts need to explode.
They need to explode indeed, and this is the third and final exercise for the side delts. Guys, if you want cannon shoulders, boulder shoulders, you gotta work on capping and rounding those delts. Getting big front delts is pretty awesome, but the side and the rear will basically make or break your shoulders. The bigger the side delts, the bigger the posterior or rear delts, the bigger your entire shoulders will look and the wider they will look. So the more impressive your frame will be. And these are the side lateral raises on an incline bench. I saw Arnold doing this exercise probably about 2 years ago, and since then I've implemented it in almost every single time I work my shoulders. It is very difficult to cheat on this exercise because you're on an incline on the side. The tension will be still on the side delts, even on the very top, which is what you want. You do not experience this when you are standing straight, because then the tension will be gone on the bottom. It will be at the top, but it won't be throughout the entire range of motion. That is exactly what we do want. So if you look at my movement right here, I'm going all the way to the top, not too high, because then the tension is lost as well. But the entire motion towards the bottom, the tension is never lost, which is why I'm using a relatively light weight for sure, because only with a light weight you can properly do this exercise. And after finishing off the side delts, it is time for some rear delt action with a superset. This is a rear delt row and a rear delt fly combined. With the row, you first tire out the rear delts with doing about 15 reps, not with a super high weight, because then again you will use your traps. That is one of the most important messages I have for you. A lot of people have good trap development, thick traps on their back, but the shoulders, the roundness and the fullness might be lacking. So even at this exercise like this, a lot of people struggle because they use a very heavy weight, so they struggle to actually target that tiny rear delt compared to the traps. The traps are much stronger, much bigger, so they are more eager to pull that weight. So if you would choose heavy dumbbells, you are most likely targeting the traps instead of the rear delts, and we want to target those rear delts for sure. So when you hit a side chest or a back double biceps, your rear delts will pop out like crazy, and that is exactly what we want. Now this is superset number 3 for the rear delt row and rear delt flies. Old school free weight exercises. You know, a lot of people like to use machines because they actually force you to more easily target the muscle that you want to work. However, this doesn't teach people to use proper form because you're basically stuck in a plane of movement, and that doesn't teach you how to properly move your body parts to properly contract the muscle you want to work. So keep that in mind. Because in my opinion, the mind-to-muscle connection and the connection you have with your body is very important for a classic bodybuilder.
This ain't heavy enough. Not.
And after having properly targeted the rear delts as well, and as you can see, they are a strong point for me now because I've been working them consistently for years with high volume, as I like to work smaller muscle groups with high volume. I'm targeting the front delts now with an alternating shoulder press. I like to do them alternating sometimes because that way I can focus on each front delt individually. Instead of making it a full body exercise that tires you out completely, I want to target it into really an isolation movement for each side of the body, because sometimes the left side is a lot weaker. And if you do 2 arms at the same time, you might actually, make mistakes, go too heavy, rely too much on momentum. But if you sit like this and move each arm individually, you will target those front delts individually and tire them out even more. And to me, it is a lot more difficult to hit them like this as well. And keep in mind, the more difficult an exercise is, the better it actually targets the muscle that you want to work. The more lactic acid will build up and the more hypertrophy will occur. And then to finish off the shoulders, I like to do some front lateral raises, again alternating, because if you do it 2 arms at the same time, you kind of want to rock your body. I'm kind of rocking my body right now, but if you do it with an easy curl bar, for example, you will have a hard time balancing yourself when you are at the peak height, because then the weight is so far in front of you and it's a much heavier weight than dumbbells that you cannot properly execute this exercise. So I like to do it with some dumbbells, focusing on each arm separately, making them die. And after all those shoulder exercises, I like to work on the triceps. In my opinion, triceps can never be big enough. However, biceps can if they are not in balance with the triceps. Remember, if you want big arms, you want to work and emphasize your triceps more than the biceps, because the triceps roughly make up 66% of the mass of your upper arm. And that is exactly why I'm working on them so diligently instead of the biceps, because I want to work on that tricep sweep when doing the front double bicep. I want a more 3D look from the side, from the back, because when the triceps are filled up, you will have great arms regardless. And then you can always work on the bicep peak, especially if you have a little good genetics for the biceps. You don't really have to do quite a lot to make them grow. But the triceps, for me, in my case, does require specific exercises and specific performing of the exercises, such as the Skullcrusher that I'm executing not up and down, but actually going to my hairline, letting the bar sink right there, and then going up and backwards, keeping the tension on those triceps 24/7. And then we move on to one of the best mass builders for the triceps, in my opinion, the close grip bench press. This way you can easily and safely overload those tricep muscles. However, look at my form and execution right here. You don't want to stop before locking out. You actually want that to be part of the movement. So go all the way down, feel the stretch in the triceps, and you should feel the stretch easily because it is pumped up from a previous exercise. I don't recommend doing this as the very first exercise unless you're doing chest. But if you have already done a tricep exercise and then go all the way down, you will feel a stretch pulling on those triceps. And when going upwards, you want to go up as high as possible, explosively, and contract the triceps at the very top. This will make the exercise a lot more challenging and will carve those details in your triceps for showcasing your muscle quality. And then the last set that I'm doing of this tricep exercise is with some chains. So at the bottom you are the strongest. At least in my case, I'm the strongest. So the higher I push this bar, the heavier it becomes, because I'm literally pushing the chains off the ground, making it heavier and heavier the higher I go, which makes this a pretty awesome variation of a regular close grip bench press, or just doing a normal bench press, which I have done on this channel as well, making it a fun exercise because hearing those chains does make you hardcore and old school. So that's why I really like doing an exercise like this. And of course I worked out with my dad today, which is pretty awesome for sure. Having a family that is so supportive, working out with you, it is really unique. But for some people, actually for most people, this is an impossible situation. So I do deem myself lucky, and if you do have family that supports you in this bodybuilding journey, you should feel lucky as well, because a lot of people do not have this. Anyway guys, I want to thank you for watching this shoulder workout, and do not forget to stay golden.